Hello, everyone. Welcome to Getting to Know You. My guest this week is Margaret Wiemer, who is a longtime parishioner of St. Sebastian's, lector, part of the Rosary Group, and former trustee 2 times. Is that right, Margaret?
That's right.
Welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I'm nice and warm and comfortable. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. It's people will not see this on the day, but today when we're recording, it is horrible out. It's been a snowstorm on top of a snowstorm, and I think I still have hat head from my outdoor shoveling time, but it is what it is. We're in survival mode, right?
We sure are, for lots of reasons. Yes. Yeah.
So I am getting to know you, Margaret. What you when I asked you to do this, I said to you, would you be willing to do this? And you said, well, it's so close to Eunice. That was your first response. And I had always thought about asking you, and I had kind of agreed with you that like you and Eunice share a lot of ministries together, but I was at Mass on Sunday and I was listening to you read. And I think it is the tone of your voice that I love so much. And I just thought, I just want to interview her. I just want to have a conversation with her. So here we are. And I appreciate you saying yes to that. But my first question is, tell us about you. Maybe people know you, maybe people don't know you, and just kind of tell us anything that you would like to let us know about yourself.
Okay. Well, first of all, John, I just think that this Getting to Know You initiative that you have started is very valuable and probably would never have started if we hadn't had COVID and been shut down the way we are. So right. I guess that's a good thing that came from this.
I keep saying there are small little blessings in COVID. Yes. Mostly negative, but there are small little blessings.
They're small little blessings. So as people can tell by my old accent. I grew up in Jamaica, West Indies. I was born and raised in Jamaica, West Indies. My mother was a very strong Catholic family. My father was Anglican, Episcopalian. Oh. And so Jamaica was only about 1% Catholic when I was growing up.
Really?
And Catholics were very strong Catholics. We couldn't take anything for granted. Otherwise, our churches just couldn't survive. So it was the Catholic community was a very strong Catholic community. It was a mission country, missionized by the Jesuits from Massachusetts. And it was natural for me to realize how important practicing your faith was. I just grew up that way. So my dad did convert to Catholicism, so that made me realize all the more. When I asked him, why did you change, Dad? He said, because it seemed like the right place to be, as simple as that. So growing up in Jamaica, educated by the Mercy Nuns, all the way through college in Cincinnati, teaching in Cincinnati, all the way to Milwaukee. And my brother's educated by the Jesuit priests in Jamaica and college, all the way through to Milwaukee, where they have now moved on. So
I have several questions. My first question is, it's so interesting to think about a country that's only 1% Catholic. You know, we look to our left and look to our right, we see a lot of Catholic people, but to be the minority and be Catholic, that must have been such a different experience than most people watching this video are familiar with.
Well, you know, it made you feel kind of special. Oh. It made you feel that you had a very strong responsibility, because if you say you're Catholic, how are you behaving to show that? Yeah. And in Jamaica, it was easy, very easy, to be able to participate and help a needy country. I remember, especially when I was a teenager, very impressionable year, when the Cuban crisis hit. And people were escaping in boatloads from Cuba, from Havana, to the closest place they could, which was the north coast of Jamaica, Montego Bay. So we had orphanages. I would get to rock the babies to sleep and feed them, and the adults would take care of the women and the men.
These are all
So
refugees.
they were all refugees.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So there was a very opportunities like that that people don't normally have.
No.
Um, and I guess I just have to acknowledge I was fortunate for that.
Yeah, no doubt. My next follow-up question is, so when and why did you leave Jamaica?
Oh, many people that grew up in a family similar to mine, socially speaking, went abroad for their further education. Most people did.
Okay.
Um, and so it was taken for granted that I would be going overseas after I graduated from high school. The question was, and this sounds very kind of arrogant almost, would it be Switzerland, would it be England, or would it be the United States?
Wow.
Well, my mom won out. She went to college here in the United States in New Rochelle. And so the Mercy Nuns, my high school, asked if I would consider going to Cincinnati, where they had a college. And they wanted Jamaicans to know about this college that was all girls.
Hmm.
And so I said, sure. I went to Our Lady of Cincinnati College, which then became part of Xavier University, Jesuits and Mercies. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then from there, you did not go back to Jamaica.
I didn't go back to Jamaica. And sometimes I feel slightly guilty about not having given back in any way
Hmm.
to that country, which I still consider my homeland.
Hmm.
Um, but much of my family that stayed there has done really wonderful things for Jamaica. Um, I taught after graduating in Cincinnati, I taught at the Mercy High School for Girls,
Oh.
and then met my husband in Cincinnati. He was working for Walgreens drugstores and was transferred to Milwaukee, which was really happy for me because my brother was at Marquette, my older of two brothers was at Marquette University at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yes, our home was like a fraternity house, I was always feeding hungry kids, and it was fun.
What did your husband do for Walgreens?
He was director of security for Walgreen Drugs,
Oh,
and this would be way back in 1965.
wow.
So Walgreens was divided up into five territories, I think, five areas, and Milwaukee headed up a large geographic area.
And now you
Mhm.
can't go to a corner of any street and not find a Walgreens.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, yeah.
So how did your brother end up at Marquette?
Jesuit, Jesuit. Yeah. And I guess that would be the main reason, really. Neither of us had ever left the island before. That was the very first time we'd ever left the island, was to come away to school. But it was very comfortable. We had been raised in that, and of course, watching American movies, you felt as if you were just living in a movie now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's funny because when you talk about living in Jamaica, that sounds like a movie to me. What when you say being on the island, what was that? What was that like growing up in Jamaica?
It was comfortable. I have to admit that we led a very comfortable life. Naturally, the climate is comfortable,
Right.
but in those days, and bearing in mind that was before Jamaica became independent. Jamaica is now part of the British Commonwealth. At that time, it was a colony of England. It was very British in style. It was typical to have servants that waited on you and served you. However, the servant was a great responsibility
Mm.
for you to care for all of their needs, medical and clothing and whatever. That's the way I was raised. I know it wasn't always that way. Um, so I lots of outdoor activities. I loved the tennis court and I loved sailing and all of those. And it was interesting because my last year in high school, the high school that I went to was a very good high school, but it wasn't the posh high school. My parents never allowed poshness. Um, and so I loved it very much. Happened to be what we call president of the student body, happened to be head girl, and I wanted to live on campus.
Mm.
And that was pretty shocking. But I fussed and fussed until I spent my last year living on campus right next to the convent and loving it.
Wow. Wow.
That was my first time ever away from home. It was a lucky thing because it prepared me for leaving later on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. What do you get back there? Do you ever get back?
No, not as often as we would want to. My daughter Anne Marie put together a wonderful Christmas present 2 years ago. And so we went back as a family and had a home on the water. It was just beautiful.
Wow.
And my present was to take them into the heart of Kingston with a driver for them to see what the real life was. And there were changes, but you just belonged. We went to my parish church and the pastor came out and showed us through the church. It was very meaningful.
Really?
It was very meaningful.
Yeah, what a special
Yes.
church. How many kids do you have?
3 children.
3, and where?
Yeah. Anne Marie lives in Hales Corners, and Larry, I call him LD, lives in with his wife and lives in Muskego.
Okay.
St. Leonard's Parish, and they're very active there. And then my youngest, 11 years after Larry, my youngest Charles lives in Hong Kong. And he has been there for about 16 years now.
Oh my goodness, what does he do in Hong Kong?
He was with, he worked for Milwaukee PC and then started working for an investment house, keeping their computers working.
Sure.
And then transferred over to Hong Kong. So he does large things I don't even understand with investing.
I was going to say, so he's the one you call when you have computer problems?
Uh-huh. If he had time for his mother. Yes, yes. But he was very patient with me when he lived here. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to, we talked a little bit about like the Jesuits were so influential in your upbringing, and I've only known you for a little bit of time, and it's very clear to me you're a very faithful person. Can you tell us a little bit about the role of religion in your life, or a little bit about your faith life?
I think in my busy days, which was up until I retired, married, raising children, working full time. In my busy days, I didn't think about faith life. It was just very convenient. I was 2 blocks away from the center of my faith life. All of my friends were of the same faith because they all lived around here. So it was very easy. Faith life and social life were combined almost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As I got older, and now maybe the word is structured, I have more specific things that I do regarding my faith life, and all centered. I know this might sound narrow-minded, but I don't need any more. It's all centered through St. Sebastian's and through what St. Sebastian's offers.
What do you mean by structured?
Pardon me?
When you said it's more structured now, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I kind of know that I'm saying the rosary. Oh. I kind of know that that I'm reading what you put in the bulletin, John. Just that alone, I just love that that reflection and the 3 questions afterwards.
Yeah.
That can carry me through for a long time thinking about that.
That's a lot of pressure, Margaret.
Yes.
That's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure on you. Yes, you better keep you better keep doing it so that I can benefit.
I like it better when I think no one's reading it.
No, we all read it. But I guess that's what I'm more aware of, needing prayer, and not just by myself, but with others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And Sebs has been such a central part of your faith life.
Well, it is. It's the center of my faith life. Yes. Yeah. Anything else that I might do would probably simply be springing from Sebs and my friends at SEBS.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the picture behind you?
Oh, the picture behind me is what I call my Jamaican Madonna. I don't know if you can see, it's a picture of a black woman holding a black child, baby.
I see it.
Um, you know, the story, a quick story behind that.
Please.
Um, as I said, many of my friends, really deep friends, are here and were here. And Dick and Norma Tyson lived across the road from us when we were on the boulevard. Their children, for their 50th wedding anniversary, put together their money and sent them to Jamaica for vacation. And Dick and Norma purchased this from a very, very well known, he has become, Jamaican artist.
Wow.
So when they came back, they had it framed. It was always in their home. And when they downsized and moved out of town up to Bailey's Harbor, they came walking down the street and hung this picture where it has been since 1980 something.
Seriously. Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So
Beautiful picture.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you.
Um,
Yes.
so tell me about what you do at SEBS, because I know you've had a lot of different role. I mean, we talked about your being a trustee a little bit. To just talk about
Yes.
what you do at SEBS.
Well, I think the first thing, and maybe the most important thing that I ever did, was when I first came here, we had a very strong Christian women organization. And of course, almost everybody of the ladies in the organization were older than my age group, and they really nurtured us. And they were a little demanding of us too. We had meetings that you were expected to attend, and mass that you were expected to go to, and all of that. But because of that, you just felt comfortable in your parish. You felt as if you belonged. Um, so, you know, I did the Girl Scout thing and the home and school thing. And Leo, um, oh, Mr. Leo was trustee at the time, and they needed an additional trustee. And Father John Schreiter asked if I would consider being trustee. And I almost giggled, thinking, "You're crazy. I could never do something that responsible or important." But that's where I wound up, and never for him, but for Father Chuck Schramm.
Mm,
And Father Chuck really he always said that he does not control, but that he develops people so they have their own control. And so you had to make so many of your own decisions, you know, back then. It was a challenging time. And so I did that for 4 years and loved every minute of it. And then went to be president of Christian Women for a while. And then just did a few things. My friend Larry, who lived on the boulevard and who passed away 2 years ago, was struggling with cancer for many, many years. So I found myself helping out there
mm.
um, and working full time. And then one day, Dale Slowick was walking down the street, and I said, "How are things going?" He said, "We're looking for a trustee." This was about 6 years ago. I said, "Oh, I think I could do that if you need me to." So I guess, you know, from that, it made me realize there are two ways of volunteering. One is where you just satisfy yourself and say, "This would be a good feeling. I'm just going to do it." And the other one is where someone comes and asks you. You just never know. It's just the Holy Spirit, the right place, the right time, I guess.
It's so interesting what you said about the Christian women, that there was a little bit of a demanding kind of style to it, where you felt an obligation to be a part of things. And I think that's so different than how we do church today,
Yes.
where we are
Yes.
like, you know, if it's okay, if it, you know, if it works in your schedule, and it, you know, we don't put that same kind of pressure on. And I think
Uh-huh.
that's to make people feel welcome, but
Mhm.
also you said that little bit of pressure also made you comfortable in your own church because you were so integrated into it.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a different time, you know. And now I was just thinking to myself, um, trying to think of why of valuable things to say today when I was speaking with you. I was just thinking to myself, at this point, St. Sebastian's and all those who serve there are serving, in most cases, 4 generations of ages, of lifestyles, of responsibilities. And to make 4 generations attractive
Yeah.
to out of one parish
Yeah.
is a huge challenge.
That's a good.
Things were more categorized, maybe.
Yeah.
Things were very typical also back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Before you retired, what did you do?
Um, I was well, as you know, I was a teacher, and then for many years I didn't work. And then I went to work at, it was called First Financial at the time, now Associated. And it was the neighborhood branch on the corner of 59th and North Avenue.
Sure.
And of course, here I am in my neighborhood again. And I just loved it, absolutely loved it. And then I was very fortunate. And then time came where something that really attracted me very much. Milwaukee was organizing an initiative for home ownership.
Oh.
And the name of the organization was called Select Milwaukee. And so I resigned and went to work for Select Milwaukee for the last 19 years of my employment.
How was that?
And how was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. You worked with potential homeowners, people who are hoping to become homeowners.
Yeah. Right.
And so that was every imaginable age, every imaginable nationality, every imaginable economic structure. And you found yourself working with realtors, with attorneys, with home inspectors, with lenders. And so it was wonderful.
What meaningful work.
It was very meaningful,
Yeah.
very, very meaningful. Yeah. But I didn't retire until I was about 73 years old. So time came, when you have to say, I should. And I think it was those darn computers that did it.
Well,
Everything.
and you probably you deserved a break, right?
Yeah.
You worked hard,
Yeah.
but you have to be the only person in the history of the parish that volunteered to be a trustee, I would think.
I don't think so. No, I'm sure not. Uh-uh. No, but I hope that, Audrey and Rocky and Michelle found it the same way I did, that you really felt your self-esteem you just felt as if you were there to really help.
Yeah.
It's a challenging time. It's a very challenging time.
Yeah, it's a critical position that I don't think people understand exactly what trustees do, but they're kind of the check and balance of the parish, and they make sure that things move forward. And it's a very behind the scenes kind of job, but really a critical job. So thank you for doing that twice.
You're welcome. It's also a very listening job, hearing and making people aware of the fact that you want to hear what their concerns are,
Yeah.
I think that's
and I'm sure a great support to the pastor too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. My last question for you is, tell me about what you hope for the future, Margaret.
Oh, well, for the immediate future, always on my mind is repairing, restructuring, whatever it takes to make our facilities whole again.
What do you mean?
That is repairing the church, repairing the stained glass windows, our wonderful, wonderful forever problem roof.
Yes.
Yes, that is. It's more than a hope; it's a concern, and I just pray, and I know it will be dealt with. And my concern, it's a hope, but first of all, it is a concern about being able to repair our parish, have the funds to repair the buildings, and all of the energy that it's going to take, not just from those working, but from those who are planning it and coming up with the funds to do this. So I pray for that a lot, that that goes well. The other thing is our school. I just hope and pray that our school can always be the wonderful place of education it is. My 3 children went straight through St. Seb's, and my 4 grandchildren attended St. Seb's. Um, and there's very few places that you can go where you use a name, Seb's, that someone doesn't turn around and say, "You from Seb's?" And then they have a whole lifelong story. It's really interesting.
I find that
Yeah.
too. I find that too. I run into people all the time. Was dropping my son off at just like tennis in Brookfield the other day, and the person said, "I went to." I mean, the person checking us in. There's so many people that have connections to Seb School.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's very, very special.
A-
Yeah.
As a current
Um,
as a current parent, I will definitely say I think it is an absolute blessing of a community. So I would affirm that it has continued to be that beacon.
mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm. I certainly feel that way. And I love the way that the school administration, Heather and the staff, and encourage the children to reach out and include us who no longer have children there.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know they have a myriad of challenges with COVID, as the church does too, but
Mhm.
their sense of mission has never wavered. It's always been
Yes.
such a place that's welcoming and definitely mission
Yes.
driven.
We have a morning prayer group at St. Sebastian's, and Eunice had mentioned it, and so we have intentions,
Yeah.
and almost always our intentions are for all those who are working so hard at our parish and school, that they realize how much we appreciate it and that they stay healthy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
because
a-
we are very fortunate. Yeah.
as someone that I hope is included in that prayers, I say thank you.
And yeah, we did include you, John. Yes, we included you. And I don't know, I just think we're very fortunate that we seem to attract people. People like you who have a full life somewhere else. Why would you want to come here? I mean, there must be something about us that I'm grateful for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
So,
I always talk about the spirit of Saint Sebastian's is definitely um, resonates with my theology, and it includes the welcoming spirit that I want church to be. So I
yeah.
definitely agree with you. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I continue just to. There's so part of the reason I want to do these interviews is to get to know each other. Part of the reason is I wanted to highlight the incredible people that are in our parish. There are people that are in government, that are educators, that are healthcare workers, that have had tremendous work in real, the parish itself, and I just want to lift them up. It's such a cool, we are very blessed with a treasure
Mhm.
of a community.
We certainly are. We certainly are. And then as I mentioned before, that 4 generational thing,
Yeah, yeah,
when I sit in church and I look around, and it's just an example of 4 generations praying together on Sunday.
yeah,
And I just look forward to when we can all do that again.
yes,
Gets me kind of emotional thinking of how hard people are working to stay connected. And but someday when we can do that again, and to have those young people coming on Sunday, those 4 young couples that you
yes,
helped join the church fully,
yeah.
just beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, that's just a complete honor. It's a
Mhm,
wonderful RCA is such a wonderful part of the ministry I get
mhm.
to do. So I agree with
Yes.
you. We keep welcoming people in, and the light at the end of the tunnel is coming. So yes, so back to normalcy is hopefully what we're going to be doing soon. But
Yes.
let me be allowed to share the compliment. I am serious. Every time I come into contact with you, you have such a peaceful spirit, but such a joyful spirit. And it was definitely one of the reasons I wanted to interview you. So thank you so much for allowing me to do that today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Blessings on your journey, and we'll talk to you soon, Margaret. Thank you so much.